Hello, everybody. Welcome into our first daytime
1
Computer America.
minute until showtime.
That's right. We're airing now 3 to 5 p.m. and Eastern Time. We got a great Gamer Tuesday show planned for you today. And we've got Josh Boykin and our associate producer, Carissa Green, gamer extraordinaire, all going to be talking about the latest in games. So sit back, relax as we begin our first daytime 2-hour Computer America show. Coming right at you.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live. It's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America. Hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And that's our first daytime Gamer Tuesday show. Yes, here we are.
I know, it's weird. You can look out and see daylight instead of moonlight. It's crazy.
Oh my gosh, yeah, exactly.
It burns, but it burns so good.
Yeah, I noticed the right side of your face is slowly peeling off.
Yeah.
It is.
Raiders of the Lost Ark style.
But here we are, yes, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, our new daytime slot, Monday through Friday, and we welcome all of you here on today's show. You know, I'm going to keep saying tonight. I have to make sure it's today's show. Also, we have to update the website. It says click here to listen to tonight's show. We got.
Are you kidding? We have to update everything. Everything social media-wise, everything on all of our different broadcast channels. We have to update everything.
Everything. But we are here, and hopefully you are here as well. So we've got lots of things to talk about here on our new show. It is, as I said, Gamer Tuesday. The way you interact with us, it's real simple. Give us a call, 347-884-8881. 347-884-8881. We'll get you on and get you through. Any questions you have for me, for Ben, our guests, this is the best and easiest way to contact us and get you right on the air, 347-884-8881. But if you're radio shy, you don't like to go on the air, we have an answer for you as well. Every page on our website, ComputerAmerica.com, in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see it says Submit a Question. Just click that, and you'll go to our question submissions page. Type in your question, hit the submit button, and Ben and I will instantly see your question, and we can ask that of our guests as well. It could be a question, it could be a comment, whatever you like. So we let you interact with us as well. The other really great thing from any page at ComputerAmerica.com, you'll see our pull-down menus, is the show lounge. If you click that, you will see our live streaming video. That's right. Not only is Computer America a radio talk show, but we also stream our live video. So you can see myself, you can see Ben, you can see our guests. You'll be able to see them all today on today's program. The other nice thing is that Ben has the technology to display websites, videos, all the different things that we're talking about. He will be able to display that so you can watch and see that as well. So it's a full interactive, immersive experience here on Computer America. But the simplest thing is call us, 347-884-8881. So if we're ready to go, let me, Ben, it's all about games today. Let's get our guest on the air with us.
All right.
It's our Gamer Tuesday show. And we have with us first correspondent Josh Boykin. Josh is a lifelong gamer and has been a game journalist for over 6 years, published in multiple forms and for multiple sites. He strives to make the world of gaming fun and exciting for the hardcore and the new alike. He is currently an editor-at-large for PopZera.com and a senior editor for GotGame.com. Josh, welcome into Computer America. How are you?
I am more conscious than I usually am during our shows,
Yes.
Which is interesting because even on the West Coast, the show takes place at like 7 o'clock at night, and it shouldn't be a struggle, but it's a show.
Yeah, well, there it is. Well, welcome to the daytime portion of the part of the show now. So we're here, and also joining us is our very lovely and talented associate producer and booking goddess, Carissa Green, and she's here with us because she is a consummate gamer. I mean, all the time I see her, she's playing some sort of a game. And Carissa, welcome into the Computer America show. How are you?
Hey, Craig, how you doing? I'm good.
Okay, good.
How always playing video games? How's standard 13 to 35-year-old behavior of you?
I know, right?
Who would have thought?
So we have a bunch of things that topics we're going to be talking about, and Ben, I'm going to kind of let you start off with any of the topics that you'd like to discuss, because we have so many things. You probably won't get to everything, but certainly we can start talking about it. So why don't you just take over?
Yeah, sure. It's one of the first things I thought we'd talk about would be any kind of gaming news or anything in the news revolving around gaming. I thought we could, kind of take a look at and just talk about. Since you were last on, Josh, and I know we really haven't been, we've been talking here and there about computer and technology news during our regular shows, but during Gamer Tuesday, we can actually go back and take a look at one of the stories that we did a little while ago, just I think a couple days ago, and let's switch this over. And this one is going to be about Valve and HTC has a Vive VR headset that is going to be launched in 2015. Now, this is exciting for the simple fact that, yes, it has limited in quotes. It's going to be a very small run. Only a few people are going to be able to get this and put it on their faces. But at the same time, this is really one of the first virtual reality launches because, I mean, Josh, you can attest to this. We've seen these things out at conventions, left and right for the last 2 years, but but I don't think any of them have really come to market.
Yeah, I mean, VR is one of those things that's really exciting, and it's you almost forget that when when you are running the convention circuit, that they aren't really on shelves yet. There are folks out there who have dev kits or things like that, but they're not in the hands of the common consumers. So it is exciting to know that it is on its way to being real technology. I do still kind of question, I think it's going to take a couple years before people are really willing to shell out the extra cash for the peripherals. Imagine that you're doing, I guess to me right now it feels like having the tablet for the Wii U, right? You have one Wii U tablet user, which is exciting, and then 4 other people who are playing with not the tablet. Except imagine that instead of you having the tablet, like, you don't get to look up because it's over your face, and then your friends are like doing weird things to you because you can't see them, and like you're gone when you're in VR. Like, it's such an immersive experience. It's right. So hard to tell what's going on around you. That it sounds, if you're a teenager and you don't trust your friends, that's a real dangerous scenario. But it'll still be really cool to see it happen.
Yeah, friends become enemies real quick when you have your eyes covered and your ears covered.
Real quick.
Yeah, I especially love the videos that pop up on YouTube now and then, where they'll be showing off a virtual reality thing, and they'll put people on cliffs, or they'll put them right on the precipice of a roller coaster, and you can see them kind of like leaning back, and they're really getting at it, and then someone jerks them, and they just freak out.
Yeah. By the way, I just want to mention that as we discuss each story or link on the show notes at computeramerica.com, I'm posting them. When we talk about them, then they get posted, so you can actually see the links that we're talking about. Just a little FYI for everyone. Okay, go on.
Yeah, very convenient. Thank you, Greg. But again, one thing that needs to be pointed out, though, you were just talking about an extra peripheral. This thing goes a step beyond peripheral, because I'm pretty sure these are going to run off of graphics cards. Like, they're not going to be like a controller for an Xbox One. They're not going to be like a PlayStation Play or whatever. Like, it's not just plug into a console. You're going to need some sort of higher end graphics card to really supply the graphics for this thing. It's pretty intense. It's pretty intensive, and not everyone is going to have the hardware right out the gate to run this thing. It doesn't cut. It's not an all-inclusive little package.
Yeah, but I mean, oh, go ahead.
Sorry. So you do plug it into your computer to use it,
Yeah.
if it needs a graphics card.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, think of it like another monitor, except you slip it over.
Except on your face.
Instead of yeah.
Yeah.
Which
All
renders all your other monitors useless.
Sure.
Much.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, wait a second, I got an email. Let me take off my headset.
How useless! You could probably just get a smaller keyboard or something. I don't know. There's probably a
There
way
you
to
go.
do it. But
Or maybe you get a VR headset to put inside your VR headset.
oh,
You're
no
like,
matter.
I need dual screens, and then you wear a headset, and then like an eyepiece, and then on top of the eyepiece, you wear a monocle, and on top of the monocle, you get DLC.
And at some point, you just become the Borg. So all this is going on, and it's not an all-inclusive kit. I think people are going to be sticker shocked when they first realize that it's not going to be it's not going to be an all built-in console, and a lot of people aren't going to have the hardware built in for it. But at the same time, you mentioned something there at the beginning where when you're running the circuit, you realize that people don't have this. The development kits have been out for 2 years, and I can kind of say kudos to the industry in general, because it really no one's been out there kind of saying, here's our first product, quick, we're the first, buy our product. It seems like between Facebook, between Xbox and their HoloLens, between Valve and HTC with their Vive VR, everyone seems to be holding off because no one wants to be the first bad virtual reality experience. Because really it just takes one bad apple to spoil a bunch. If this doesn't make the proper splash, I'm going to ask you to this, do you think a bad initial reception could kill this thing like it did 3D TV?
Not at all.
Well, I guess first, Krista, why not at all? Why not at all?
Because I feel like if let's say this headset came out and it was not very good, I mean it would kind of give the other companies the ideas that they need to kind of make theirs better so they can improve on it, so that way everybody can just continuously improve off of each other's work and kind of make the best possible VR headset.
Right. Josh?
I'm still a little afraid of virtual boying the console, so to speak. I mean, the difficulty with VR, or really anything that you put on your face, is that it's a dangerously immersive experience, right? You can get really sucked into World of Warcraft, Guild Wars, whatever, but it's not on your face, so there is still a level of disconnection. When the Virtual Boy dropped, it was making people really nauseous. I think that there is something to applaud in that it is taking them so long to release their customer-facing technology, but I think you also can only applaud fear so much. It's legitimate fear, because if somebody does release a console that makes somebody consistently lose their lunch or something like that, you're talking about opening up an entire wave of potential liability that could be a detriment to VR in general.
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting you mentioned that, because I had that experience. I remember way back when I was just playing regular video games. It was the first time I noticed every time I played the game, I got sick, and I felt really nauseated, and I couldn't figure what is going on. And finally, I realized that after playing the game for a while, that I was so into it that my actions caused me to get sick, and I couldn't play them anymore. Yeah.
This is where, if I was there and I was your coach, and it makes sense for football, so I'm going to say it here, play through the pain.
Play through the pain.
Push through it.
I was just about to say, like, I call that like a gamer's stomach, where you just forget to eat or to go to the bathroom. You just you're so into it, you just forget it until it's like you're starving to death, shriveling up, dying.
Yeah.
But, it happens.
Yeah, you get to the point where it's you hit that checkpoint, you hit that thing, and it's like you're so sucked into the game, you're like, okay, my
Where's the
character's
next
doing,
checkpoint?
my character's doing good. But then, like, you kind of, suck yourself out of it for a second, and then you're like, okay, let's run a system diagnostic. And you're like, I haven't eaten in 20 hours. I haven't gone to the bathroom in 12. Maybe I should go take care of my real body and then get back to the video game.
Yeah.
But
Sky-
only if you've hit a save point. If you haven't
Right.
hit a save point,
Yeah.
that's not an option.
Oh yeah, exactly. You finally make it back to Whiterun, and then Skyrim can wait for a second while I go sleep for 3 hours. That's for sure. But just getting back on the topic of virtual reality and that kind of thing, these consoles, we've been seeing them all over the place. Every gaming company, I think Razer even teamed up with someone to bring a virtual reality console, or I'm sorry, a virtual reality headset to market. So it's exciting to see this one. This one, they said limited release this holiday season. So if you're one of the few lucky couple hundred that can get their hands on one, go for it. But they said they're going to have a wide release in Q1 of next year, with, I'm sure, everyone else probably going to be having one out. I would definitely say by the holiday season next year. They're probably going to try to make their big splash and try to convince everyone that this is what you need. You need a virtual reality headset. And I gotta admit, I personally haven't been able to see one. I can't wait till I put the germ-infested demo model from Best Buy on my face. But I lawsuits aside, hopefully there are none. But when you have something strapped to your face and you hit your shin on the coffee table and you fall on the cat, there's going to be a lawsuit somewhere in there.
You should have been sitting down.
Yeah.
You knew what ride you were getting on.
Yeah, and so I hope that they're going to make a good splash. I hope that everyone has worked as many bugs as possible, and yeah, I'm assuming both of you are like me, and am eagerly awaiting for virtual reality.
I've only been waiting my whole life for this, Ben.
Not a big deal.
What?
No, I was like, I've only been waiting my whole life.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like I can wait another 6 months if I really have to, but yeah.
So yeah, and that's of course, I feel like this is going to be the revolution in gaming that the Kinect and the PlayStation version of the Kinect, like that.
That's what they've been missing.
Yeah, this is what it should have been, like in terms of immersive gaming, is hopefully this.
Yeah, exactly. So, are anything more on the virtual reality sets? Because we're talking about virtual reality and not augmented reality, right?
Right.
Right.
What's the difference?
Well,
what's the difference?
Tell me.
Greg?
Well, augmented reality, obviously, you don't have that enclosed. You're not cut off from the outside world. You literally see your environment where you normally are, but overlaid onto that environment, you see additional computer graphics, information, text. So
like the holodeck.
So, well, yeah. The holodeck, the holodeck was more like virtual reality because anything around it.
More like think any video game that you've played and your character has a heads-up display. That would be augmented reality.
So
Gotcha.
if you watched the Microsoft press conference this year, HoloLens would be a fantastic example. They are playing Minecraft, and then you're looking at physically your table in reality.
And I don't think you get the nausea associated with augmented reality that you do with virtual reality.
I would hope not. Just because you don't have that enclosure, that kind of experience.
Yeah, I think because you're moving around, you're looking around, and you're seeing your room normally with things that are overlaid on it. Was with virtual reality, you're involved in a non-real environment, and you're kind of lurching back and forth, and your inner ear gets kind of messed up when it does that. I don't get that with augmented reality. So there it is.
The only thing is that augmented reality has this problem. I can't recall the name of it, but where I actually pulled up the video for the whole Minecraft demo and what augmented reality means for something like this. But the only problem it has is it has this problem of when you have nothing else in front of you, and let's say you look at a wall, you look at a table, you look at something, fine, it works beautifully. But the only problem is when let's say you put your hand in front of your eyes in augmented reality, the image, it actually looks like your hand is going behind the image. So that can be really disconcerting if you assume that the picture is on your wall, and then you lift your hand up, and it kind of goes into the wall behind the picture. So they're still trying to work that out, but augmented reality has its own set of problems that I don't think even Microsoft has figured out.
Yeah, but I think that the issues with augmented reality are kind of minor in comparison to their applications. Like there are some functional, they're closer to glitches than problems. Like motion
Right.
sickness is a problem, but augmented reality is something that we've been dealing with since the 3DS came out. Augmented reality isn't specific to a headset. Really, there are tons of augmented reality applications that are already available on cell phones and cameras. And really, the concept of augmented reality doesn't necessarily mean physically seeing something on top of actual reality. I think even there are games that revolve around geolocation or geotagging that would technically be termed a form of augmented reality. It's just a way of interacting with the world around you that includes a virtual component that isn't in that reality space.
Right.
If you're watching the video that Ben is displaying, you can see what augmented reality is like, and it truly is amazing.
Yeah, they have a setup table, which is like kind of the play area, and then they have a projected image of Minecraft actually on that play area, taking up a specific amount of space. So it's
That's
like
so
Greg said, yeah, it's really neat.
To watch it, and I guess, and again, by watching it, I'm not getting seasick. Watching it, I don't know if that's an indication, but the point is,
Yeah.
I would be more inclined to think that this doesn't bother people physically like the other technologies that we're mentioning.
Right.
So it's but that I guess is going to be not necessarily a rival. One thing that these are going to I feel like the market is going to have to try to. I love when they blow the TNT up and it's just all it has. But one thing that the market I think is going to have to cater to, or at least try to cater to, is not just video games. Video games are very important, and video games on virtual reality and augmented reality are going to be fun. But I think they could, if they were going to, market these towards entertainment system, because the consoles have been trying to make their way into the living room for the longest time. Steam has been trying to make a lot of headway in there. I think they're doing a pretty good job, but people are still hesitant to bring a console, let alone a full-blown PC, into the living room. But if you could get something like a HoloLens in there, or any other augmented reality or virtual reality, imagine instead of going out and purchasing that let's say 65-inch TV for $1,000. Instead of doing that, you go out and buy a $300 HoloLens, and I think like the ratio is like it would be as if you were looking at a 100-inch screen, but it was kind of strapped to your face. So if they could put augmented reality that you could walk around your house with, do whatever, and then you could kind of carry that picture with you, these could actually, for certain use cases, I'm thinking college kids or single person apartments or whatnot, somewhere where other people don't have to watch television with you, these could actually replace televisions in some cases.
I think there's a little bit of a cross there between what would essentially be virtual reality technology and AR technology. Because I think if you're getting to the point where you're basically withdrawing a user from the experience of the rest of life, that's going to be where you have an immersive headset like the Vive or Oculus. Those things are going to be a little more appropriate.
Right.
I do think that where augmented reality technology is exciting and probably already in use, and actually I saw a number of tech demos that kind of spoke to this, is that they're similar to heads-up displays that we were talking about before. If you're playing a first-person shooter and you're used to seeing the mini-map in the upper left-hand corner and a little display in the lower left-hand corner that shows you how much ammo you have or what weapon you're using, things like that.
Right.
There are a lot of applications that they're currently working on where, let's say, and actually this was a simulation that I saw from, I want to say it was Epson, that was working on an augmented reality headset. And what they would do is you would put it on and it basically would overlay this like mechanics manual on your face. So like you could look at this piece that you were going to assemble for whatever, and it would show you step by step and highlight, this is the piece that you're going to take next, and you're going to remove that piece, and then you're going to go in here and unscrew this thing. and you'd have like a step-by-step and a virtual diagram so that you could, mess with it, tweak it, and take reference to this is what this piece does and this is its function. So there are a lot of really really great potential uses in the business sector that I think augmented reality is really gonna be able to make a lot of change for.
Yeah. By the way, we got a comment from our submitted question. This one's from Jonathan, and he said he was talking about the motion sickness. He says for me, it wasn't that I had forgotten to eat or anything. He says, I just got motion sickness because I kept moving the POV hat to make sure nothing was going to sneak up on me and attack me.
That's a real concern.
Yeah, Jonathan. Well, I guess it's justified paranoia. If you because
that is the thing. It's you're not paranoid if someone's really out to get you.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that, Jonathan. Exactly.
Yeah. It's weird to hear that Epson, of all people, is getting behind this. I guess they can turn almost anyone into a technician / assembler. That's very cool. But I mean, there's a saying that IKEA ruins relationships. This is gonna take that whole thing out there.
If
you could just
idea.
Yeah. If IKEA came with some kind of virtual reality or augmented reality thing and showed you how to put those shelves together, that would be so much easier.
Yes, we've had experience with putting stuff together without reading the instructions. That can be very, very.
Everything's just tilted slightly to the right. Yeah.
Not.
Yeah, no, but that's another thing that we haven't gotten into yet, and because this is our Gamer Tuesday, we probably won't get into. But augmented reality and virtual reality are, of course, going to have much further reaches than simply entertainment at home, in the living room, wherever you keep your computer. They're going, augmented reality for sure is going to start popping up in the next decade, and this is. Putting a feature hat on, popping up in the next decade in real life. Just walking around, let's say a mall, adverts are going to be, kind of tailored to whoever's looking at it.
This is not different than how it's been in the past. Computer games have always been the driving force behind making faster and more powerful personal computers. And computer games really push the hardware technology to the limit, and games are a major reason why we have the push for faster and faster computers. And then everybody else comes in. Oh, okay, well we can use it for this and use it for that. But games have been the driving force between faster hardware technology, and it's interesting that it's the same thing with virtual reality. Again, games are the driving force for the entertainment is the first reason why we're making these things, but all the other industries, medical, scientific, whatever, are going to follow suit with these devices.
Yes, and I would kind of put, oddly enough, military as a driving force, and then games, and then everything else.
Okay, well, but military is really out of the hands of consumers. When I'm talking about consumers,
it's definitely gaming.
It's definitely gaming. When gaming is the driving force behind it, then everything else kind of follows suit.
I believe the military is working on some pretty advanced virtual reality and augmented reality. Like they want augmented reality for their soldiers, and then they want virtual reality for their drone pilots. Like I believe that's where they're trying to implement these technologies that we're going to play Flappy Bird and we're going to play World of Warcraft on. They're going to pilot drones in war zones.
Are we still playing Flappy Bird?
I hope not. I really hope we've moved past that.
I never messed with it.
I am going to toss you extra gamer points for that. Anybody who avoided Flappy Bird. Though I'll tell you what, my favorite.
Better things to do.
Yeah. So I did play Flappy Bert.
Yeah.
It was the Sesame Street released version of Flappy Bird. There was a giant Bert and Ernie head that you tried to navigate through these little gaps, and every time you failed, he'd hit the little pipe and he'd go Ernie, and then he'd fall over.
I think it would have been like a pigeon or something flying,
No,
I don't think we have better things to do. I think it's just we have better games to play.
That's exactly what I meant.
Yeah, and speaking of weird little weird little mobile games that have taken it. I think Flappy Bird was definitely a kind of pop culture thing, and it fizzled out as fast as it came up. But another one is Angry Birds that's been around forever. Not as good reception, and I remember hearing news. Unfortunately, I didn't include it in tonight's topics. I'll go find it during the break. We're coming up on a break in like a minute and a half, so we'll come back with this. But I believe it's Rovio, or maybe they sold out to another design company. But they have a movie, a full-length movie, coming out based on Angry Birds.
Oh God.
And I know, and they just released, and I'm sorry, and they just laid off, I think about 50 to 60% of their entire staff, like across all sectors.
I
Like,
think that number's high, but we can double check.
Wow.
yeah, we'll definitely double check. I'll go find some articles, pertaining to this. But yeah, they're laying off a lot of people, and I guess it seems like one little company that had a slightly addictive video game spread themselves too thin. They tried to make themselves too big.
All right, you're listening to the Computer America Show. It's our Gamer Tuesday. Josh Boykin is here, Carissa Green. We're talking about computer games here on our Computer Game Show. We got a news tips bulletin review from Marty Winston coming up. 347-884-8881. We will be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Sometimes disaster strikes. Data can be lost due to many different reasons. Accidental reformatting, power spikes, virus attacks. Zero Assumption Recovery provides a suite of highly effective and thorough data recovery software for Windows operating systems. ZA is suitable for home users and small businesses who need a powerful data recovery solution for Windows and Linux file systems.
Go to z-a-recovery.com.
Sometimes disaster strikes. Data can be lost due to many different reasons. Accidental reformatting, power spikes, virus attacks. Zero Assumption Recovery provides a suite of highly effective and thorough data recovery software for Windows operating systems. ZA is suitable for home users and small businesses who need a powerful data recovery solution for Windows and Linux file systems.
Go to z-a-recovery.com.
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
Hey, who turned the sun on? Didn't this used to be a nighttime show? Oh, hi, it's Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the Zacky's Turn Signal Gloves. So, Zacky's invited us to get their gloves with built-in LED turn signals. We couldn't resist. The turn signals are outward-pointing arrows on the back of the gloves with contact buttons on the finger and thumb to activate them. Each arrow blinks 9 LEDs. They're bright and respond to bright ambient light by getting even brighter. Their batteries are rechargeable, and a recharger comes with. When you take the battery pack off, the gloves are washable. There's a lot of good engineering here, anticipating and eliminating our usual sources of complaints. Bottom line, Zacky's Turn Signal Gloves take biking safety in a good direction. Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. And that sun thing, does it have to be out there?
I know, the sun thing, it's all brand new. Thank you, Marty Winston, for mentioning that in a new News Tip Bulletin Review. 33 minutes past the hour, we have Josh Boykin here with us, our gamer correspondent. We have, oh, and my camera's off. I've just been alerted. No, there we go. Got
Yeah.
the creeper behind me. I like that. But yeah, so Josh Boykin, Gamer2 correspondent, Carissa Green, our booking goddess, avid gamer, and kind enough to jump in here with us and just talk about video games and video games in general. And of course, Craig Crossman. He's also there in the background. He is our eye candy for the day. So we are, we're going over news that's been happening over the past couple weeks, and there has been a lot of gaming news, luckily for us. We were just talking about Angry Birds and how they have maybe spread themselves too thin, gotten too big too quick, and at the same time haven't really done enough to keep the market share that they've kind of captured. So, and yes, we checked over the numbers again. They laid off 260 employees a couple days ago. I believe it was like four or 5 days ago they announced this. They laid off, and by the way, you can of course find this in the show notes. But yeah, they laid off 260 employees on last Wednesday, and that was a total of 1/3 of its workforce. Still a large number. You're right, it wasn't 0.5 to 6% like I said earlier, but still 1/3 of its entire workforce. And they have a statement from the CEO saying that a leaner and more agile Rovio is absolutely necessary to go forward. And it's I thought it would just be kind of fun to talk about this because Angry Birds, the first one, wildly successful. I mean, who knew that a mobile game would be making over $1 million a day, multi-million dollars a day, just printing money. And then they turn that into plushies. They turn that into a full-length movie that's going to be coming out. Although I have not heard good things, but they turned it into a cultural phenomena. Both of you seem to be more into the mobile games than I am. Have either one of you tried Angry Birds 2?
No.
Actually, I have.
Really?
I heard that they were going to do Angry Birds 2, and I was like, okay, so we've released like 6 other Angry Birds games since Angry Birds. So realistically, what could you have done over the, I don't know how many years it's been since I first played Angry Birds on the original iPod Touch. What could you have done that would have finally said, yes, we should call this one Angry Birds 2 instead of Angry Birds Stella or Angry Birds Fight, or I should probably stop listing off Angry Birds titles I've played. And,
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's not bad.
Like
actually.
from what I heard, and again this is all secondhand reading from other places, but from what I heard, it's Angry Birds, and love, go for it. Although there are some very annoying product placements. I believe the honeybee from Honey Nut Cheerios makes an appearance in a couple of those. People aren't too fond of that.
Is Nelly going to show up too?
Who?
Like Nelly? Didn't they do a Honey Nut Cheerios commercial and Nelly was in it?
No, but I hear Pitbull.
The honeybee was a rapper.
But I believe Pitbull's going to be featured in a couple levels. So
he's in everything.
Of course. But they're also they also adopted a new model because before it was what they called pay to play. So you bought the app and then everything inside of it, go for it. You got so many levels, and then you could purchase more levels. You could purchase a couple different things, and that seemed to be working really well for them. But in this new market, and mobile market seems to be developing at a breakneck speed, the new model seems to be this transition to free-to-play with microtransactions, and Angry Birds 2 has adopted a system of you have lives that regenerate after so many hours, and you can actually run out of lives, and then you can't play the game for 6 hours unless you purchase lives from them, for $2, $1, whatever it is, and that's how they're hoping that they're going to be making all of their money. Hence, it's free to play, and people hate that system.
It's the worst.
Yeah, nothing worse than getting a game and assuming that you have it, and I guess people were willing to jump that $2 to $3 paywall that the original Angry Birds was, but this system of purchasing lives and then potentially having to pay $12, $15 over the course of the game just for wanting to play it made so many people mad.
I do feel like it's worth pointing out that this is part of the evolving free-to-play market.
Right.
And we talked about we have our differences in opinion on free-to-play, but we can't really knock the success that free-to-play model has. Like, regardless of how much hatred it brings, particularly amongst hardcore gamers, like these games wouldn't be making so much money on free-to-play models if they weren't effective for some people. Um, the catch with this particular model is that the only way that you lose a life is if you fail a mission. So this isn't like Candy Crush where you automatically use a life by entering into a level, and then you life out after 5 or 6 plays. It does have a longer turnaround, I believe, between your life regeneration, and it's because the only way that you lose a life is if you fail or retry a stage. So I do think that it's an interesting attempt at figuring out how to make the recharge mechanic work, but it definitely has jaded enough people that the second that you see those hearts show up in the upper left-hand corner, I'm sure there are a bunch of folks who are just like, I'm not going to play it.
Yeah, and unfortunately that seems to be the thing. And in the mobile market, that could be the end for a large company. It's weird to think of that a large company such as this, they've been earning, they have definitely grossed over $1 billion by now. They've been around for a while, and it's hard to think, but in the mobile market, these things develop and change so quickly. Like I believe the current top ranking game is Clash of Clans, right? Like they're doing very, very well and have a great advertising campaign. People seem to love them. Like they're the ones on top. So Angry Birds is not doing enough to change up and kind of refreshing themselves, while also getting this hate from their established user base.
Let's keep context, though. I mean, I'm checking Google Play right now. Angry Birds 2 has almost 800,000 reviews with an average of 4.25 stars.
Oh,
So,
so bad.
I mean, like we're talking about there's some unhappiness, and I think that there's definitely unhappiness in the hardcore gamer market, and particularly amongst journalists who, folks like us who want to make sure that we report the things that are important to our constituency, and the usage of free-to-play models has always been something that is highlighted. I'm looking at current version of iOS. The current version of Angry Birds 2 has 3.5 stars with 2,300 ratings. Overall, has received about 41,500 ratings with an average of about 4 stars. So people are unhappy about the change in model, but I don't know that, and I am trying to find the article that talks about their current download count. There are still tons of people playing this game and into this franchise. I think that part of the reason that we talk about Rovio trimming, and it always is depressing to hear about a company cutting its developers and any downsizing of jobs. But Rovio they're a little more than a game company right now. They're a marketing platform, and their heavy-hitting title is Angry Birds, which is why they have plushies. It's why they have movies. Angry Birds Fight just recently came out. It's a match 3 puzzler, similar to a lot of other games that have been coming out lately. Angry Birds Stella, which I didn't play, but I thought was interesting because they put in Red. The red bird is kind of the main protagonist of the Angry Birds franchise, and Stella is, I think, a little bit more of an RPG focus and has a female protagonist, which is exciting.
You know what?
They got to figure out what's sustainable.
You know what I haven't figured out is why Chick-fil-A hasn't come out with an Angry Bird sandwich, or maybe an Angry Whopper. My stomach just like turned a little bit. I was like, I'm eating red. Oh, God.
Red can be the spicy one. I like that.
Yeah, exactly. Give me the spicy chicken sandwich. Although he's not really a chicken, technically.
But there are other games that are successful that are utilizing different free-to-play models. I mean, I haven't played any of it, but like Fallout Shelter, Carissa, you've been playing pretty consistently, right?
Oh yeah.
How does it work overall? And I mean, some even just backstory on Fallout Shelter would be super helpful.
I mean, it's pretty much like an ant farm, really, if you think about it. I don't know if you probably haven't played it or not, but it's really like an ant farm. It's like a lot of those other games where you build up your town and your population, and everybody has their own jobs and stuff. So it's really just maintaining your vault, essentially.
So compared to, I think a lot of people from that description kind of think Sims. So
It's kind of like that without as many needs. Like all they need is food, electricity, and water, and each room has its own. It keeps the skills from the actual game, from the console version. So it's got strength, agility, blah blah blah, luck, whatever. And each room has a different skill assigned to it. So if you put enough people in that room with that skill, it'll help your resources build up faster and stuff like that.
Okay.
So it's really, you got to match up your people with their skills in each room to kind of keep everything working smoothly.
And I believe there's also baby making going on, right?
There is. That's stupid easy, and it's kind of strange. Because, like, if you put two people of different color in there, it's really strange because they'll pair off with each other. Like, if there's, let's say, it's kind of bad.
There was like, we're not doing it on purpose or anything.
Glitch or what? Yeah, but like if there's, let's say, a paler person in there with a darker person.
So black male, white female.
Yeah, if they're doing that, then if there's another one, like if there's a black male and a black female talking to other people, they will switch who they're talking to and then run off and make babies. Like they will not. If you give them the option, they won't procreate with just anybody. Huh. It's really segregated. I don't know why. I don't know what that's about, but.
Well, and it's interesting because a lot of their marketing materials have featured a number of. I don't know. Are they Vault girls and Vault boys? Are they? I don't know. But the characters, like, it almost feels like a highlight, and maybe it's through my frame of reference, but it seems like a highlight that they have so many different people of what would be perceived as different ethnicities. Yeah. So it seems almost awkward that like those people could spend like an hour getting to know each other, and then just the second another black person walks in the room, I'm like, I'm sorry, I have to leave.
Yeah, pretty much.
This is a great conversation, but she's black, so
there's nothing I can do about it. Sorry, guys. Yeah, it's really bad. I don't know if they did that on purpose or because they're trying to keep the old-timey 50s feel to it or something. But
we're progressive, but it's still Fallout.
Yeah, it's still Fallout.
I would kind of hope that it was a glitch in the game where it's like, we really don't know how to do mixed race secondary people, so we're just gonna.
That's what I thought too, and then I tried it a few more times. It's not a glitch. They did that on purpose.
So, you've heard it here
first. Right? How does Fallout Shelter make money?
How do they make money? You got to send your people out into the wasteland to gather caps. So you arm them with armor and weapons, and then you kick them out of your vault, and then they come back with stuff.
Okay. And then how does Bethesda make money when you play Fallout Shelter?
They have options of purchasing lunch boxes which have cards on them that can contain resources, caps, other vault dwellers, and weapons, and just anything you might need. It's got a random sort in these lunch boxes that you can pay for, or you can. Complete the quests, which also sometimes give you lunch boxes, which is nice.
So it's kind of the booster pack mentality. Like, here's a game you can play, and if you want to buy a booster packs and get new stuff, but there's no guarantee that you'll get something fantastic whenever you buy your booster pack.
Well, supposedly they're supposed to have one rare item in each pack, but I mean, I'm not sure how rare is, but
define rare. Yeah, exactly. Define.
Yeah, like one of the cards is like the most rare ones I have found are the actual vault dwellers themselves. And they usually have really, really high stats. So I've found some that had 2 or 3 stats that were almost maxed out. So, I mean, they give you really good stuff occasionally, but the vault dwellers are less common than, let's say, if they wanted to give you 500 caps.
Okay.
So they're more likely to give you caps than people.
But okay, so obviously you've been playing for a while. How much money have you spent on it?
$0.
And you still find it enjoyable?
It's all right.
Well, then that's all.
Yeah, it's all right. I've been kind of busy lately, so I haven't been playing as much as I was. But I've restarted 5 or 6 vaults just because I'm just kind of getting the feel for it, how things work. So, I mean. I like it.
One thing I guess we should mention is that this mobile game, while being very entertaining on its own, as we've seen, is kind of impressive advertising more for Fallout 4. And they've been kicking their hype train, their advertising campaign into overdrive for Fallout. Like they've been doing a lot of different things that, other than just, hey, here's a commercial with a game and a trailer, look at it. They've been doing some.
Here's another game.
Yeah, they've been doing some nice advertising, like in diverse ways.
Definitely.
Do you get the sense there's going to be any tie between your performance in Fallout Shelter and anything in Fallout 4?
No, I don't think so. I really think this is just like a mini game to tide over the fans because we've been shaking our fists for so many years trying to get a new Fallout game.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Bethesda!
I know!
So yeah, definitely go check that one out. Android, iOS, Windows, or
I'm not
Android,
sure about
iOS.
Windows.
Yeah,
Android,
it's just
iOS.
a mobile game.
Okay.
for
So
right
Android,
now.
iOS. Very cool, very cool. Well, if we're going to wrap up with that one, Carissa, you just forwarded a link on, and this is, of course, I think going to hit a lot of people right where it counts, and that's Pokemon.
Oh man, I
And-
cannot believe this article I just read.
I think, and don't get me wrong, but I'm going to preface this by saying this looks like Pokemon Tournament mixed with Smash Brothers. Like it's going to be like battling Smash Brothers Pokemon.
Yeah, it's like Stadium but better.
It's essentially a mix of Pokemon and Tekken because
Oh,
it's
okay.
designed by Tekken folks. It's a
Right.
Namco Bandai title.
Right. So, Carissa, I unfortunately have not had a chance to read this, but what do we know about this so far?
I just found it the other day and I read it briefly. It's pretty much it's like what was that called? Stadium, Pokemon Stadium for the 64, where you have your Pokemon, and I guess he said it was from Tekken, so I didn't really read a whole lot of it. I just kind of skimmed it because it looked
Well,
awesome, obviously. But
You did mention there that yes, indeed, they were actually using the developers who work on Soul Calibur, which is my favorite more than Tekken. But yeah, Soul Calibur and Tekken, which I guess is a play on words because they use the word Pokken, so Pokemon and Tekken mixed together. But yeah, it's going to be a mix between Tekken, Soul Calibur, and Pokemon to create like this button smashing, kind of fighting Pokemon game, which I guess is Nintendo's way of diversifying their, diversifying their portfolio. They did mention that they're hoping to bring more of their games to different consoles. They said there were never going to be one-to-one direct ports. So think like Pokemon Red going to the iOS. That's never going to happen. But they did say they were going to start using their IPs and going after different consoles. So I guess Josh, you might know a little bit more about this. Where do you think this is heading? Is this heading just to the Wii, the Wii U, or is this going to elsewhere?
Yeah, this is going to be a Wii U title, and it actually, I believe, is already in Japanese arcades. So the big question for a while was, are we going to see it in America? The hopeful answer was yes, of course, but I mean that happens for so many Japanese titles. I've wanted to learn Japanese just so I can find all the games I want. But the big question is going to be, I hate to bring this up every time we talk Wii U, but it's console viability. There are only so many Wii U's floating around out there. Even when a game drops that gets some pretty high acclaim, like Splatoon, the third-person kind of hybrid territory capture / shooter that is a lot of fun and is frantic and kid-friendly and all sorts of stuff and has really revitalized the Wii U community. I own a Wii U and still don't feel like plugging the thing in.
Mhm.
So the big question is going to be, to me, how many people can we reach out to and tie them into the Pokken tournament universe if it's going to be a Wii U exclusive? One of the benefits to Smash for Smash 4 when it came out was that it came out for the 3DS first, which is a much larger market for really America, and I guess in general, than the Wii U. So there were folks who were able to play it for the 3DS and say, oh, you know what, this is really good. And I'm sure there were a few rollover customers who were like, all right, well, I'm going to go pick up a Wii U so that I can play, Smash on the Wii U with my friends because it's so much better to play with friends on the Wii U than the 3DS. The 3DS multiplayer is just something you do because you have to.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's an awesome. I mean, you look at the screenshots, and anybody who did play some Pokemon Stadium back in the N64 days, it hits them. It gives the feels so hard.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Did you?
I remember seeing the promo video for, or like the sneak peek trailer, whatever you call it, and they have a nice mix of the original Gen 1 and all the way through to like I think they're up to like Gen 5 or something. So they have a nice mix, but I don't believe you can play as any of the 300 some odd character, Pokemon. Like it's only like a select few, right?
Right. I mean, and if for the only if only because it is a fighting game. Like, it's still a Pokemon game, but it is still a fighting game, too. So you've got balancing your characters you have to worry about. You have to worry about creating full motion animation for every Pokemon that you bring in. And, like, realistically, like, do you want to play a giant fighting game with your Caterpie?
Yes. Yes, I do. I want to play with all of my Pokemon. This isn't
all
fair.
I want is String Shot. I just want String Shot and Tackle.
Or Harden. That'll work.
Yeah, 2 minutes on Harden.
Right, or and that's when you get the big questions, right? Like you evolve your Weedle into a Kakuna, and you get to carry some moves over, but then like you use somebody else's Kakuna or a wild one, and all it knows is Harden. So it just sits there and waits to go. That got super nerdy. I apologize.
Well, I guess the last thing you want is like a Lapras and a Whale Lord going out, or something like that. Just giant Pokemon and not being able to do much. But yeah.
Or I mean, there is that classic video, the Magikarp Splash Attack.
Right.
If you look up, I guarantee you, listening audience, if you have an affinity for Pokemon, look up Magikarp Splash Attack. It's on Newgrounds. Maybe we can put the link out there somewhere. Sure. It is the ending is worth it.
Send Ben the link, or he'll send it to me, and I'll post it. All the links that we're talking about today. There's that tonight thing.
Tonight.
Today we're talking about. It's 20 years of that saying tonight. I got to get out of my head now. Today, what you need to do is you go to our show notes page. Just go to when you click on Josh's picture there, and or read about today's show. Well, I am posting the links as we speak, so you'll see everything that we're talking about there. So just get that link to Ben, and I'll post it up on our show notes.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
All right.
So yeah, and I believe we've covered a lot of news articles. We didn't cover everything that we kind of wanted to. Just going to run through some of the other ones that maybe if they sound interesting, you can go check out. But in the second hour of the show, we're probably going to be doing new game releases. And especially because this is a personal favorite, I love Warcraft, we're going to be talking about World of Warcraft Legion, which was just announced earlier last month, or early in August. So, we're going to be able to talk about that. And also Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, and the new Destiny DLC, The Taken King, as well as Diablo 3, the game that is getting better every day, and you didn't even know because you're not playing it, unfortunately. So we're talking about those.
You gotta break away.
Right. So, and of course, some of the articles that we didn't get to were this one that you put in there. Actually, we might actually come back with this one because I like this. It kind of ties in with another one. And it's Culture Shock Games develops Telltale games like Story of Violence in Inner City Chicago, and that actually tied in really well with another one about a video game that might just turn you vegan, and yeah, which was weird in its own right.
I don't know. It'd take more than a computer game to turn me vegan.
But yeah, we'll come back.
Maybe
We'll talk about
in VR.
Exactly. We'll come back and we'll talk about video games and how they're not just games. They can actually invoke emotion. They can get a point across. They can actually make a compelling argument, all wrapped up in a video game. And last one that we're not going to talk about for sure, but it's big news today, which is Amazon, and this is more entertainment, but Amazon beat everyone else to the punch in allowing offline TV and movie streaming.
They beat Netflix? Even Netflix?
They beat Netflix. So no longer having to be connected to the internet just to watch TVs and movies. Very, very cool. So, we'll cover that in the next hour.
All right. Let me just take a quick a moment here to, again, to all our new listeners who might be in the new time slot, 3 to 5 p.m. We always encourage you to go to our Computer America website. The Computer America website is our internet home of our national broadcast. And we certainly encourage you to go there and check out all the great things that we have there. For those of you who like to win stuff, well, we got you covered too. You just go to our the Interact pull-down menu, and you'll see it says Social Media Contest. Every Friday, we give away a really nice prize from our good friends over at Logitech. Currently, we're giving away the MX Anywhere 2 wireless mouse, valued at $80. It's really slick. It's a brand new mouse from Logitech. It's the only one that I've seen where it's got a button on the bottom of the mouse that lets you pair it up with 3 different devices, and you can switch between the different devices. Very cool feature. And it is ambidextrous, and it just looks really nice. $80. The enter our contest, it's real simple. Just go to any of our social media sites that we have listed up in Computer America on that page, and you go there and you just register or like the page, and each one counts for another entry. And you only have to do it one time, and that's it. And then you're in. Every Friday, we draw from that list of names a winning name to win that really nice prize from Logitech. Okay, we got another hour of Computer America coming at you. It's our Gamer Tuesday show. We also have another news test full review from Marty Winston. This is the Computer America show. We're going to wait only for a few moments. We're going to be right back. Please stay with us.
Broadcasting live, it's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into Hour 2 of the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. This is the Computer America Show, and I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And we continue on. It's our Gamer Tuesday show. It's all about games, and more games. Again, just head over to ComputerAmerica.com, click on today's show, and you'll see all of the links that we're talking about. We're posting them up there for you as we speak. Josh Boykin, our computer gaming correspondent, continues to be with us. He is an editor-at-large for PopZara.com, senior editor for GotGame.com as well. And also with us on today's show is Carissa Green. She is our associate producer, our booking goddess, and also an avid gamer in her own right. And we're just talking about all the latest news. We just finished with most of the news stories that we're going to do, and now we're going to talk about some of the new releases that are coming out and some of the games. So, Ben, why don't you take it from here?
Sure. Well, I guess this follows new releases, but it's a new game that Josh actually brought to the table, and this is a game that, just like one of the other ones that we talked about earlier in an earlier show, this one is, I guess just going off the title, a game based on real violence, or at least real life violence happening in Chicago.
Yeah. The reason I thought this was important to highlight, actually, I have my history or career as a journalist is rather spread out. I really, obviously, I care a lot about video games. I care a lot about journalism as a whole, but what I really enjoy, or what I really look forward to, is the ability for video games to have an effect on us that stretches beyond entertainment. There are a lot of things that go on with people who are in other cultures than ours that are really difficult for us to learn from or experience if we're not in their shoes. I mean, how long has that saying been around? You got to walk a mile in somebody's shoes. Mm-hmm. I think gaming is a really fantastic opportunity for us to do that. So,
right.
A game like this, We Are Chicago, it doesn't excite me in the sense that I am excited about what it's portraying, because unfortunately, its subject matter does sound all too real and all too common. This is a story that centers around, I believe, the Englewood neighborhood, and revolves around a protagonist named Aaron. where I don't know exactly what the story is, but this does kind of have interspersed violence, gun violence. And this is a topic that strikes home to me because these are the types of topics that were around me in my home when I was younger. This is not a I don't expect this to be a fun game, but I do think that this game and other ones like it will be very important. It's shocking how much the Telltale Games has been a ridiculously successful company because of the way that they are able to emotionally tie us to situations that we didn't expect to be emotionally tied to. The Walking Dead, which was, I would say, their big breakout hit. You walk into that game thinking that you're going to be playing a game about killing zombies. Turns out it's really a game about parenthood and society. The Game of Thrones series, I've heard, has been ridiculously successful, and that's aside from it being a Game of Thrones series. Tales from the Borderlands, actually, which I have not played the latest episode, so no spoilers, but the Tales from the Borderlands series has apparently made some pretty intense emotional turns, which for a series like Borderlands, which is so focused on just kind of humor and energy, even though you do get attached to those characters, there is something about that storytelling dynamic that is really successful, that really ties us to the games. So I am really looking forward to seeing what a title like this can do, where it's meant to tie us to a situation that actually is occurring on a daily basis on American soil, not far from. I mean, like, this isn't a story about Iraq. This isn't a story about Turkey. This isn't a story about Syria. This is a story about the United States of America and what we do in positions such as these.
Right. Yeah, it's as I was saying earlier, that kind of ties into an earlier game, which was a game that might turn you vegan, and it was the author of the game. He wanted to use video games as a platform to explore, just something that most people are so far removed from. And I think this, We Are Chicago does that as well, where not everyone lives in Chicago, obviously, and not everyone experiences these kinds of problems between violence, between gangs, and between all this kind of stuff. And when people aren't exposed to it directly, they have a tendency to brush off and say, oh, that's not happening, that doesn't happen as much, that's not as bad as everyone says it is. They distance themselves from the bad because they can. And the other game I was talking about, it's kind of a quirky take. It has the same graphics as Minecraft, so it's obviously nothing to it's not going to win any awards based on graphics, but it's a story of a cow running a slaughterhouse made for people.
Yeah.
So people were the product and cows were the one running it. They were the foreman. And it was kind of the game's author's intent to explore, I can eat meat every day of the week. I can kind of remove myself from this because, they're just nice prepackaged steaks and, it doesn't really matter. But he was trying to flip it around and say, okay, well, what if this was another living being? What if this was something else? And he felt like he accomplished that in a very simple game. You give people a narrative that they otherwise wouldn't experience, which I'm sure We Are Chicago is trying to do the same thing. What happens if you are a character who has to then deal with gangs among your friends, who has to deal with violence happening all around you, who has to deal with all these situations? What would you do? So and I guess that's kind of one of the points that you were trying to make was games are more than just, hey, can I get a high score? Hey, is this fun? Hey, I should show this to my friends. Sometimes they can just invoke feelings within people that they otherwise wouldn't have. That they never really had to make these kinds of choices before. What would you do?
Well, and that's exactly the point. I don't know if you were able to pull up the article that was showing the vegan game as well.
Yes. Uh-huh.
But I think the part that makes a game exciting in the sense is that I think we all, regardless of whether or not we kind of step into the bounds of what could be called social justice in gaming, outside of that, we've all had those games that like leave lasting impressions on us, right? So I still remember my first RPG was Final Fantasy IV on the Super Nintendo, which was it was Final Fantasy II, but that's a technicality that we don't have to get into. So, and I still remember playing that and getting this sense of like emotional delivery from reading this text on a screen that came from, it had 16-bit music in the background. Like you play it now and it's kind of cheesy, but realistically, like that was a big deal for me. It opened my mind to the world of RPGs in general, just by playing games with a real simple turn-based battle mechanic and sprites.
Right.
And so that's why I think that it's so cool to see game jams like Ludum Dare that will create or inspire games like the vegan one we were just talking about, or hearing about an opportunity to show off a game like We Are Chicago, where there was actually, it wasn't a blog, it was a series of tweets that I did earlier this summer. There was I believe a 7-year-old child who was shot and killed over the 4th of July weekend, standing outside of his house waiting for the fireworks.
Mhm.
And the belief is that the drive-by that took place, the shooting was intended for his father, but it ended up hitting him. And it's just like, it's hard to identify with or even really imagine standing outside waiting for the fireworks to take place and having that be a situation where your life is in danger.
Right.
But through gaming, we can create some of those ground rules, create some of those experiences that hopefully make people think about things that happen that are not directly connected to them but are still important. I don't know, what game experiences have you guys had that have left lasting impressions on you? And they don't have to be super intense. I'm sorry if I brought the room down a little bit. I just it's important to me.
That's okay. Emotions are emotions. But Chris, if you don't mind, I go first. I would have to say, honestly, it had to be Warcraft 1. It was one of my first video games. It was back when I was 4 years old, so it affected me in ways that I'm just now discovering. But no, it's just real-time strategy games. Warcraft probably wasn't the first, but it was the first for me, and it really just opened up kind of the competitive spirit of video games. It wasn't just it was just you against a computer. Who could outperform? Who could outthink the other?
Yep, I remember those.
And it was like the first time that 4 years old me, everything it was always share with your brother, be nice to others, do things. And Warcraft was the first time I was like, okay, you're not just gonna decimate their base. You want to destroy every single unit that they've ever built. So go do that. And it changed the way that I look at video games, from that day forward. I have always really enjoyed, you against the computer, you against someone else. It's a battle of skill and wit. It's kind of what got me, maybe even chess was before that, but it's kind of what shapes how I view video games, and I hate to say it, sometimes, events in life. It's, you against everyone else. Let's see how good you are. It's, that's what I took away from early video game experiences.
I'm on your side, then.
I don't know. No, but Carissa. Oh, she there?
Yeah, Carissa, she's there, but she's
just your mic for Hangouts is muted. There we go.
Oh,
There we go.
Welcome back.
All right. Hi. So for me, my experiences were never really competitive. I don't really like competitive sports, or games are okay sometimes, but that never really was it for me. It was always a bonding experience playing video games.
Now, how do I say this and be politically correct? Is that because you're a girl?
You don't say that and be politically correct.
He's lucky I don't really get offended by things. Maybe, but I take it to the fact that I was always with my mom when she was playing the Super Nintendo, so I grew up playing the Super Nintendo, and everybody in the house had a gaming system, and we'd all play together. And I remember when I was probably 8 or something, my nephew was really bad dyslexic, like he couldn't read at all. So we'd sit in the living room, and he'd play Final Fantasy VII, which is all reading. So I'd sit there and read for him while he played the game. So it was always like just a bonding experience, video games.
Okay.
Did you have a particular game that you latched onto? Like, what's your big, like, this is the game I remember playing with my mom and it like brings back the feels. Okay.
Zelda, yeah.
Zelda,
Link to the Past.
Yes,
Yes.
that one.
It's funny. My sister, my sister's, it's between somewhere between 4 and 5 years younger than me, right? So, we never had like we had just enough of a gap to not be in the same friend group, and we also. Anytime I rented a game, you know, we didn't have a lot of money growing up, so I wouldn't rent a ton of them, and I'd have to rent something that I could play with my sister, which would frustrate me, right? Because I'm like, oh, why do I have to get this game? But like, there are some now that always have that memory tied to her. Like, there was one called Kakoma Night in Busyland. It was a Super Nintendo game where you're on this big map and you have to like carve out sections of it. It's really weird. I don't know that I'd recommend it. But it was this game that like I'm always going to remember playing with my sister, and like it has these like kind of heartfelt memories to it. Now that I'm older, I really treasure those times because those were opportunities that it was just, you know, the two of us working together to get something done.
Yep.
Right. So, and yeah, I hate to do this, but Craig, assuming you've played something past Pong, what was the video game that most affected you in your development?
Snake.
Solitaire.
Solitaire. Yeah, that's about the speed I was expecting.
No, I remember going back. My first computer video game was Colossal Cave Adventure. You know, I played it on the Univac system, and I remember many years later, I was trying to find it, you know, the version of that for my Apple II computer back then, and finally Microsoft came with the actual version. People tried to came up with similar versions, but it wasn't the exact version, and then Microsoft came up with the actual Colossal Cave, and it all fit on one disc. I don't know how they did that. So I had that for a while, but then we started. Sierra Online came about, and was it the husband and wife team from Sierra Online? I can't think of the name.
Where's Carmen Sandiego?
No, but they did like King's Quest, and I can't remember the name of the folks who did it, but the Sierra games.
Yeah, exactly, the Sierra games, and I started playing those, and because they had graphics, you know, and they were cool back then, and then Broderbund started coming out with its games, and so
that's Carmen Sandiego.
Yeah, Carmen Sandiego, but they had a lot of other really great titles. Broderbund, they were like the leading game company for a long time. They had the one with ladders. I can't think of and then they had
Ladders.
no, actually, Prince of Persia was one of them. They introduced Prince of Persia.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, exactly. So they had that for a while, and then of course, then I went into.
So all these have affected your development, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up with games too, just like everybody else, but they weren't as cutting edge as they are today. But back then, they were considered to be cutting edge games. You know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Well, and actually, that segues into, I know we've talked about it a lot over at the Pop Zara offices, but Rare Replay just came out a few weeks ago on the Xbox One. It's an Xbox One exclusive, and it releases, I believe, 30 games over the 30-year history of Rare, the company that did Perfect Dark, GoldenEye, Banjo-Kazooie.
Did they do it's like Primal Fighting or Primal Rage?
Killer Instinct?
Primal Hunt.
It had like the raptor and like the Sasquatch fighting.
I
Yeah,
don't
it was
think
Primal Hunt or something.
Yeah, I think it was Primal Rage, but I don't think they did that one. I know they did Killer Instinct. Killer Instinct is kind of their big fighting franchise. But
I forgot to admit, Myst was the all-time best adventure that I played on.
My mom liked that one.
And then they came out with later versions of Myst. They started adding animation to it rather than the original version, which was just pictures with sound. And I think it kind of ruined it. I think Myst was the original Myst was the best. But
well, and that's I think that's where it kind of comes down to is that I can remember playing Myst and I just got super frustrated with it. I was just like, you're off this boat and you're standing on a dock, and you basically, that's your screen, is a picture of a boat dock, and I'm just like, what am I supposed to do? And I'd click things, and nothing would do anything.
Well, that was
That sounds about right.
And
Yeah.
I was just like, you know what, guys? I'm done. I'm going back to I'm going to
Rather go
Chip's
climb a
Challenge.
tree.
I'm going to Commander Keen. I'm going to something where I press a button and then something reacts.
Well, you must-
Perhaps that was the beginning of instant gratification.
Well, you must have missed something because so many people really enjoy. I mean, Myst was one of the all-time biggest sellers of its day. I mean, people really liked it. So I'm not.
Oh, no, it's a fantastic game. I was just talking with a friend of mine, Carol Mertz. She's a developer for Happy Badger Studios out in St. Louis, and she just started playing Grim Fandango Remastered. And Grim Fandango is in that same family of adventure games as Myst and Riven and those kinds of things. The classic point-and-click adventure titles. And some of them have fantastic lore, really in-depth story, a lot of things to discover, but they don't necessarily hold your hand a whole lot while you're discovering them.
No, and that was the thing about Myst. I mean, but Myst was like reading a book, but you had some interaction with the book, and it had a really great story behind it, and a great ending, which I never suspected. No spoilers here, but a great ending.
I've been waiting for 20 years.
Yeah, I won't spoil it, but it was an unexpected ending.
That seems like the one game you would spoil. I mean, why not? Why not?
No, actually, now that he said it, and I'm just like, maybe I should go back. Maybe I should give that another run.
I'll tell you what.
watch
Give
it on
it another
YouTube.
run the next time we talk. Let's just tell me.
See, but then you gotta go out and you gotta find the emulator, and then you gotta
No,
go
I
find the
haven't built-
game.
You don't have to do that now. Now that it's posted, you can actually play it on virtually any platform now.
Oh, so it's browser based.
Yeah,
It's actually on the App Store. It's on iTunes.
yeah. You can get it browser based. You can get it now. I mean, the technology that ran it today is.
Can my computer handle it? I only have a Titan, so.
I'm gonna go to Titan.
Well, you're right. I didn't say it with the nose pointed up enough, but yeah, I got a Titan.
You can play 50 games of Myst on a Titan and still not
More than that.
bog it down. Yeah, exactly.
For sure. No, but Josh, you were just trying to make a point too. We got sidetracked. Trying to recall what it was.
Rare Replay?
Yeah, Rare
Yeah,
Replay.
so the interesting thing when you play Rare Replay is that it's 30 games released across Rare's history as a game developer. And so for me, I was already familiar with a number of, basically the stuff they had done since my era. Battletoads they were involved in.
Man, Battletoads, that's a good one.
Yeah, they were involved in Battletoads, they were involved in Perfect Dark, Jet Force Gemini, Conker's Bad Fur Day, GoldenEye, just like all of these things that you say, Banjo-Kazooie, you say them and you're just like, whoa, wait a minute, that was all the same company. But when you go back into their history to some of their early games, like those were on the Spectrum ZX, and if you don't know what that is, I basically don't either. It would be like a Commodore 64 or an Atari 2800, like an older computer-based system, and you see how basic these games were. I mean, like no music whatsoever, just sound effects. Really bright, jaggy spikes.
They were relying on your imagination, and nothing could be.
They were still really exciting.
Yeah, and because nothing can be better than your imagination. I mean, even going back, I remember after Adventure, I got into Zork, and the big thing about Zork is that it parsed full sentences. You didn't need 2 words; you could actually type in sentences. It was amazing. But again, it was text, and you were filling in all the stuff with your imagination, and it was great.
Oh yeah.
Go north, go south, blah blah blah.
But I mean, it is really cool to think about how much things have changed in. 30 years over the span of human history. I talk about this a lot. Like my grandparents went from outdoor plumbing to flat screen TVs. Like that, there are people who existed when we had no TVs. Like those people had no TVs, and now we carry really fantastic TVs in the palm of our hands that find content from the sky, and then it doesn't get here fast enough, so we get really angry that our HD content hasn't come from the sky fast enough.
And it contains the sum total knowledge of humankind. I mean, you can find about anything you want. You can get it's all there.
It's a great time to be a gamer.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say it, but yeah, no, I think I was gonna say, but we're sadly quickly running out of time here. So let's run into the new releases, that have been happening. And let's start off with new release, the biggest one, the one that I've looked up all the critic reviews, and they are glowing. I think IGN gave, it's very rare, never gives out 10 out of 10. Amazing. Sarcasm, by the way. But yeah, Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, and I'll be honest with you, I never had a PlayStation, I never had any Sony products, so Metal Gear was never really part of my repertoire. But a lot of people are loving this because it's supposedly the last of the series. Like, it's the last Metal Gear Solid that's going to be coming out.
Yeah, right.
Supposedly.
It's like the 10th one. What was it, 5 you said?
Yeah, 5. But the creator, the writer,
Hideo Kojima.
Yeah, that one. It's the last one he's making, at least. So that's gonna happen. But I've heard good things. I know it just came out today, so we can't really talk about gameplay wise. But Josh, do you have any experience with Metal Gear Solid?
I played through Solid 1 and 2. I tried to play through Metal Gear Solid 3. The franchise takes a little bit of a turn there, and I wasn't patient enough to put up with it. But I mean, Metal Gear Solid it's a really interesting franchise because its story is so convoluted, and it definitely has this, like almost a hybridization or a mix-up of Western and Eastern culture as it has become a more popular franchise outside of, just kind of across the globe. Yeah. So I think it'll be really interesting to see how they work with the character, how they deal with Snake and trying to close up the franchise, if in fact they're going to. I can't help but agree with Carissa that I don't think we're done with Metal Gear here. We may be, there are going to be some changes probably with Hideo Kojima leaving Konami, but I don't think we're done with Metal Gear.
He has a son, he'll take another.
Have you played any Metal Gear, Carissa?
Once, a really, really long time ago, before I got into the really in-depth RPG first-person or shooter games.
Mm-hmm.
I tried playing it. I was probably like 7, 8. I don't remember. It was on PlayStation, but all I remember is Snake, how I liked his bandana, and the boxes that he would hide in. So I'd run around everywhere in these boxes trying to hide from people and just popping out here and there. And I sucked at it. Like, I couldn't shoot anything because I couldn't aim very well. And
right. Well, I will say that one thing.
That was my experience.
I will say that one thing that has taken the internet by storm is this tendency to. Well, there's a feature in the game where during your gameplay you can actually send things back to base. And bless you, Ninetales. But yeah, you actually send things back to base using, like, you tie balloons and it gets lifted up, and then a helicopter comes and picks it up, and then you can go find it in base. And if you're watching the video, here's one of Snake had killed a bear, and he didn't want to leave it there, so he tied balloons to it. And a helicopter comes and takes it away, picks it up, and you can then find it at your base. And there are videos, yeah. There are videos all over the internet of him doing that to Jeeps full of bad guys, of him doing it to just tons of things. It doesn't matter what. It's a funny little feature, but it's all in all, I've heard good things. So we'll probably get more in depth on that as time goes on. So that's Metal Gear Solid. Another one is Destiny, the new DLC, The Taken King, is coming out on the 15th. Unfortunately, not out yet. But I will say, I have recently played Destiny, and I was wondering if either of you had a chance to get your hands on Destiny.
Nope. No Destiny here.
I haven't played Destiny, so I tell this story frequently. In fact, I think my buddy Mikkel, who might be listening to the show, knows where I'm going to take this conversation. To me, Destiny is akin to a relationship that you're sucked into, you get out of it, and you're just like, whoa, I didn't realize how sucked into that I was. But you always think about going back to it, and then in your stomach you're like, that's maybe not a good idea, but you can't help but think about it, right? Now, the difference between this particular analogy and The Taken King is that The Taken King is a little bit more than DLC. It's basically Destiny Season 2. It'll be releasing on, I believe, on its own disc. It's basically it's a new point of a revamp, and unlike the relationship that you would say I shouldn't go back to because neither of us have changed and this isn't going to be any better, Destiny has been consistently evolving with player feedback. Even though there were a number of things that people were really unhappy with when the game first started out, with each of their expansions, they've tweaked their system. They've changed out the way that they dole out loot. They've changed the way that they have done team raids, and so even though it's not perfect yet, they have been improving, growing, and changing, and their user base seems to be appreciating it. So there is a pretty significant amount of buzz, particularly in the Destiny community, about Taken King, to the point where I do have to say that I am kind of wondering whether or not that's a relationship worth rekindling.
Yeah, I will say that I just got my hands on Destiny really, really late to the game, but about 2 weeks ago I just started playing it for the first time. It's it's I guess everyone already knew what I was just learning for the first time, so I like the first 3 or 4 levels I wasn't sure if it was like a suspense horror kind of thing, but I was scared to take every corner, and then I realized this thing's just like Halo. Of course made by Bungie. And there's so many comparisons you can draw between the two.
Yeah.
But
Listen, we're on a break, and when we come back, we can continue on and also talk about World of Warcraft, the expansion pack. This is Computer America. Stay with us. Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they are available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com. Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission of Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is to help build a sustainable, no-kill community where no dogs or cats are ever killed for population control, where true euthanasia is reserved only for animals who are irremediably suffering, or for animals who are truly a threat to society and with no hope of rehabilitation. Brother Wolf's staff and volunteers go door to door, neighborhood by neighborhood, to educate citizens about local resources available for at-risk pets and to help their families connect with those resources. Brother Wolf's community-based approach to no-kill helps keep family pets healthy, happy, and in their homes and out of the local shelter system in the first place. For more information or to make a tax-deductible donation to this wonderful 501c3 organization, visit their website at www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
Yeah, like there's a Perry Mason from Murphy's Law. Hi, it's Marty Winston with the News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the Nextbook Flex 10 from eFun, a 10.1-inch 2-in-1 with a detachable keyboard to convert it from tablet to small notebook. And it comes with Windows 8.1. It's a very modestly crafted product. Just 2 gig of RAM, a quad-core Atom-class CPU, 2-megapixel front-rear cameras, just 32 gig of disk space, but an SD slot so you can boost that, and only low-band Wi-Fi. It's an economy model that we initially intended for a special role, as a dedicated platform for a single app. Then changed our minds. We dared upgrade it to Windows 10 and put it to work as primarily a browser box, but with the ability to capture, store, send print jobs, and run other apps. It's proving very good in this very mainstream role. Bottom line, the eFun Nextbook Flex 10 brings more than enough power for what most people mostly do. Marty Winston for the News Tips Bulletin and Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. Marty Winston with a News Tip Bulletin Review. We're here.
I said yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and we're here with Josh Boykin and Carissa Green, wrapping up our Gamer Tuesday. I think it's been a really fun show tonight. We've talked about a lot of news.
Today.
Whatever. Today, when we talk about a lot of news stories, it's going to be, a little hard. But anyways, we were just talking about, at least I was just getting into Destiny and how I came to the party late, played it for about 2 weeks ago, and of course in 2 weeks the new DLC is going to be coming out, although it's going to be a huge revamping of the current system. And I was just saying that after I went in, not knowing what to expect, but then you realize that it's like Halo, but in an MMO kind of style. I love it. There were probably tons of loot system. I remember talking about the loot system problems. There were probably tons of problems at launch, but coming in late to the party, coming in late and after the fact, after they fixed a lot of things, and it's not often that I do this, but having given them time to fix everything, it's an awesome game right now. You can completely, kind of ignore a lot of the early reviews because their grievances have been addressed. But if you go into it now, it's the community is actually a little small. I heard that PlayStation 4 has a much better community around Destiny, and including like early releases and things like that. But for the Xbox One and Destiny, tons and tons of fun. I'm having fun gearing up my guys, exploring new content, meeting new people. It's just awesome. So anyone out there who maybe quit playing when it was first released because of all the problems, or hasn't touched it since, or maybe even never started, it's and it kind of segues into our next game that I want to touch on quickly before we get to World of Warcraft. Getting into a game late doesn't mean that you are going to have a subpar experience. I've found with Destiny, and yes, even with Diablo 3, if you come in late, you might actually have a better experience than those who were, early adopters, those who jumped in right when it was released. And Josh, I was kind of wondering how you feel about that, because it kind of stinks knowing that the people who helped make it a financially viable and an early success, those aren't the ones exactly getting the best playing experience.
Actually, there's an interesting correlation, I suppose. Guild Wars 2 just recently announced that they're essentially going free to play. Used to be that they would you would pay for the game itself and you would log in and the game would be free. And as of the next expansion, they're going to be removing that, where you can just download the client and play for free.
All right.
So I'm reading the comments thread, and somebody's like, well, that's, are the people who've been, who paid for the client, are they going to get anything? And they're like, well, they've been getting to play the game since it came out, if that's anything. So, I mean, that's kind of the difference, right? Like, the almost dirty little secret of gaming is that if you come in late to a game that is popular, you generally are going to pay less for the game, and then you're also going to get a better experience because you get the benefits of patches, you get the benefits of additional downloadable content and tweaking and an already established community, but you don't get to be part of that formative experience. So what you're really paying for when you buy a game at full price is the ability to come in and love it from the beginning.
That's fair.
And so that's where I think the benefit to folks who have been in at the beginning for Destiny is that, yes, they've had to deal with some of the hardships, but if I want to continue that relationship analogy, they have gotten to tough through some of those harder points and probably have a larger appreciation for Destiny as it stands now. So yes, you get to come in now and reap the benefits of a counseled and struggled and sometimes broken, but now better Destiny. But that's just kind of how it works. There are folks out there who want to be part of that first wave, and then there, a perfect example is there's a game called 20XX that's in early access right now that I can't stop talking about, because it's basically, what if you took Mega Man X and then made it a roguelike and then made it co-op and then like it's a really fantastic mashup of this retro feeling side-scrolling RPG, but adding in all the stuff that I didn't really think that I would want until I realized that I wanted it because I was playing it. It's still in Steam Early Access, and I never buy Early Access games because I would rather play a game that's done. But I care enough about the concept of this franchise that I'd rather be part of the Early Access community and help shape it into the game it's going to become. And I'm willing to pay the money that, and risk seeing it in a bundle where it's like this game and 7 other ones for $3, and I'm like, oh, I already paid $15 for that one game, but it's okay because I like the community.
Right. Well, yeah, I just want to tie this in real quick, which was Diablo 3, and that a lot of the issues that Diablo 3 was plagued with from the beginning, just like Destiny, the whole auction house has been scrapped, the player versus player has been added, leveling has never been better because you have so much content to go through and you have so many levels to get that it will provide you with hours among hours and among hours for a simple, let's see, I believe the original game is down to like maybe $20 or $40 by now, and the expansion is its own $40 game. So, for $80, you're gonna get hundreds of hours of gameplay with a community, with good, with good items and good content. It seems like jumping into games late is no longer a deterrent. You no longer have to worry about, is this even worth it anymore? And I'm finding with certain online multiplayer games, yes, absolutely.
In other words, you don't have to go through the debugging process, and in other words, you're getting a really
things that in a perfect world would be done before. Things that issues pop up that you had no way of knowing until after you released it to the public. Until you get a couple million people playing it. The certain things like the auction house, it works wonderfully in World of Warcraft. The auction house in Diablo was atrocious. It really ruined the whole game. When the best gear you could get, you could either have a 0.0001% chance to drop, or you could buy it from the auction house for $300. Like it took away from the game. They thought it was going to add to it, but things like that you learn as you go, and these games seem to be aging well.
There's no advantage to playing early, other than part of the debugging process, or you're playing the newest, latest, greatest thing. Maybe that's it.
Yeah. Other than what Josh said earlier, where you get to jump into the community, you get to be there from day one. Which I played World of Warcraft from day one. I don't regret that. It was a horrible, broken mess of a game that I loved every moment of. It's compared to what it is today, it's day and night. But it's games seem to be aging well lately.
And maybe that's a good segue in this last segment to talk about the new World of Warcraft expansion that was just announced.
Yeah, it stinks because I thought I'd have more time to talk about this. We only have about another 15 minutes or so, but well, actually, let me do this. Carissa, I believe that you want to step out.
I did. I gotta go do something.
All right. Well, thank you for your time here, everyone. Say goodbye to Carissa. She does a lot for us behind the scenes of the show. She makes a lot of this happen. This is the first time she's been able to join us on the show, but thanks for joining us.
Yeah, and
hopefully it's not the last.
Yeah, for sure.
And our dogs want to say goodbye to Ninetales.
Oh, goodbye, dogs.
Okay.
So thank you so much.
All right. Yep. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a good one.
All right. So continue on with you were mentioning the World of Warcraft new expansion.
World of Warcraft. I believe we mentioned it's last Gamer Tuesday, but I really wanted to get into, or actually no. Actually, I believe Josh, you were out last Gamer Tuesday. That's right.
Correct.
Correct. So we're gonna make it up this month. We're gonna have you on twice. Just to make it.
Make
but,
up
yeah. The new World of Warcraft expansion was announced. WoW Legion, very very cool, and they announced it over at Gamescom. Okay, let's just do a quick run through of the new features. Level cap raised to 110. Character, you can now do a character boost to level 100 with Worlds of Draenor. They introduced boosting up to level 90 So they're just continuing that trend, so you can jump right into the
And-
new content.
And character boosting is creating a new character and having that character show up at that level.
Character boost is you create a character and you boost it so that you don't have to play through Original, Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King, Mists of Pandaria, Cataclysm, and Worlds of Draenor. You don't have to play through all that content. You can just jump right into the latest content, and you get a free one when you buy the game, and you can purchase them as many as you want from the store. But yes, it takes your level 1 character all the way up to level 100.
Nice.
So, so for anyone, and of course you can always go play the old content, but it's really nice if you just want to jump into the latest and greatest. I think that's a great feature. So yeah, of course with the new area, lore-wise, this is obviously going to revolve around the Burning Legion. The Broken Isles are going to be the new main zone where all this is happening. If you've been following the lore, the Tomb of Sargeras has been opened, and the Burning Legion, they want to take an approach to this where before World of Warcraft it was like, okay, so we fought them back through the Dark Portal, now we have to take the fight to them. And before that, Mists of Pandaria is like, oh, here's a new island, and everyone's angry for some reason. And, like, the last few expansions, other than Cataclysm, which even then, was kind of so-so because you took it into the elemental planes, the new WoW expansion, the Burning Legion is coming to Azeroth. Like, I don't want to say that lightly. Things are going very badly. You wouldn't think they would, but the Burning Legion is coming back full force. Every zone is going to be touched by the Burning Legion. Everything is just going to hell. You need to do something very, very drastic to get this back on course. And following along those lines, here's what you're going to be able to do to fight against this massive onslaught of demons that is going to be coming through. And this is one of the most exciting ones, is new weapons. Josh, I'm assuming you have played WoW at some point in its 10 to 11 year history.
I have played games and said WoW before.
You haven't played WoW?
I have played approximately 30 to 45 minutes of World of Warcraft over its 11-year existence, or 10-year existence. I don't know. I'm borrowing that from you, but
Yeah.
I do get the concept of it. I just we'll save it for another episode.
I'm curious.
I have MMO issues.
Yeah, let's do that because I'm curious to why a gamer such as yourself missed out on probably one of the premier games of its time.
The issue that I have with World of Warcraft right now is the same issue that I have with watching Game of Thrones. It's the same issue that it's just like, by the time I could have gotten in, I would have had to catch up on so much that is just overwhelming. And like I didn't have friends who had played it and were like, this was before, I guess, character boosting was a thing, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, you can get started and you're level 1 and we're going to carry you the whole time. And since we're level 60 or 70 or whatever, we're going to kill everything. And this is going to be a really boring experience for me.
But now that
as I walk around and see the scenery. And now at this point, my friends aren't playing WoW anymore.
Yeah, but of course now with the character boosting, you don't have to go through all that. You can just start the game at that point, right?
But now I've got other games I want to play.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's one of the stigmas WoW has to overcome is it's 11 years old. There are very few games that are being played, as much as WoW, and it's losing subscription numbers like crazy just because, hey, at this point, it's been 11 years. People are, it's kind of, people either have their memories of WoW and they don't want to, revisit it, or they think it's too late and, they don't want to jump in so late.
Well, then why are they making a movie about WoW?
Warcraft? Oh, because the people want it. That's obvious. No, but this is all besides the point. World of Warcraft new expansion, Legion, character boost. So everything is going to hell in a handbasket, and you have to pull out all the stops to defeat the Burning Legion. One of the things that you are going to have to do, the first thing when the expansion comes out, your character, depending on your class and depending on your specialization in your class, so if you're a healer, if you're a tank, if you're a DPS, whatever it may be, you will be using a different set of legendary weapons. So essentially weapons are going to be taken out of the game. everyone is going to have one type of weapon. So, if you're a Retribution Paladin, you're going to have the same weapon as every other Retribution Paladin. But this is actually a good thing, because you can then customize your weapon along, like, it's going to have its own skill tree, it's going to have its own attributes, it's going to level up as you level up, you're going to be able to make it more powerful throughout the course of the game. And you're going to be using Ashbringer, you're going to be using Doomhammer, you're going to be using Khadgar Staff, you're going to be using Atish, that's it. But you're going to be using all these different weapons that are heavily tied into the lore, and I guess the point of it is, the Legion is coming, we need to do something serious, go get the most powerful weapons in World of Warcraft history to fight them off. This is the only choice we have. So, you go get Uther the Lightbringer's mace, you go get whatever weapon you can. It's like, from a lore perspective, very, very cool. It's everyone's dream to wield the most powerful, the most iconic weapons, and in this new expansion, they're letting you do just that. So
without having to go through all the pain of building up to it.
Well, no. I mean, you could always start over at level 1 and go to that, but it's a new approach to weapons, because before, you just picked up a weapon and you were looking for your next one after you got that one. Like, weapons were kind of recycled until you got the top tier, and then you were waiting for new content to come out to get the better weapon.
I will say this all sounds a lot like Destiny, which might make sense since they're both made by the same company.
WoW is actually implementing a few things. One thing that they are doing with the new PvP system, this is their third iteration. Before, with PvP, like, you kind of leveled up, you bought gear, and that's the way it's been for 8-9 years. That was very, very hard on people, because if you were new to the game and you were late in a season, people were twice as powerful as you. Like, it didn't even matter what gear you had. If you weren't the best, you were just getting stomped for no reason. They're changing that now. And Josh, if you've ever played any Call of Duty or Battlefield or whatever, Prestige,
Sure.
World of Warcraft is adding a Prestige system where it goes all the way up to 50, and you get new abilities, you get new stats, you get new everything, and, well, at least new abilities. And once you hit 50, you have everything. It doesn't really matter what gear you have, it doesn't matter, any of that. It's just, as soon as you hit 50, you get extra perks, and you're a little bit more powerful. You're good to go. Once you hit 50, though, you can prestige and start all the way back at level 1, but you get, better looking gear, your character gets a better emblem around it, little visual perks.
So it's like Call of Destacraft.
Exactly. Which people kind of like, because, that gives them the ability to prestige, 10, 15, 20 times. It gives them stuff to do, stuff to work towards. And, people were kind of missing that in World of Warcraft, because a lot of time you were sitting there in your garrison, not doing anything, which is kind of why you saw those subscription numbers drop 3 million people at a time, 3 million people in a quarter. It's because people were tired of sitting there doing nothing, and they were like, this isn't worth $15, and they unsubscribed. They weren't mad at the game, they were mad that they didn't have anything to do. So this is their attempt to solve it. So, new PvP system.
You think it'll work?
Oh, absolutely. But, I love WoW, so this is, it'll all work. No, but, so with Legion, things are going bad, get new legendary weapons. What else can you do? Well, there is a class called Demon Hunter now. It's a new class that you can play. It's hero class, just like in Wrath of the Lich King, they introduced Death Knights. And that was because, hey, what better to fight the undead than people who wield the power of undead? Same kind of theory here, where we're fighting the Burning Legion, we're fighting demons by the score, so why not have demon hunters on our side? And you now have the ability to make a character, only Night Elves and Blood Elves, by the way, sticking to the lore, so no humans, no pandas, no nothing. Only elves are allowed to be demon hunters. And you start at level 100. It's a hero class, and you go, and they have their own set of abilities. It's just a new class. It's very, very cool. So Yeah, between Demon Hunter, new class, between new area, Broken Isles, level cap 110, character boost 100, artifact weapons, just so much to look forward to. This is going to come out this holiday season, so somewhere around November. And by the way, I said 10 to 11 years because in November it's going to be their 11th-year anniversary. So
Oh wow.
yeah, they're for an 11-year-old game, it's to still pull in more subscribers than any other. Well, really more subscribers in a market that has moved away from subscription-based gaming is still a monstrous feat. And I think this latest one, they've gotten a new win. And I know I said this about about Worlds of Draenor, but I think they've learned a lot, and it all looks very, very exciting.
Do you think they're going to still be able to pull the kind of? They still have BlizzCons, right? So, are they? Gonna
They didn't last year, I don't believe, but or the year before that. But yes,
Didn't
they're
have
going to have
BlizzCon?
BlizzCon. Yeah, they didn't. I think it was 2013. They didn't have BlizzCon.
And that was why. Why did they decide not to?
They really didn't have anything to show. They were still working on Worlds of Draenor, and they didn't have anything to show, so they didn't host BlizzCon.
I think Cataclysm was the one.
I think I didn't know they hadn't had it.
Yeah.
2012. 2012. BlizzCon 2012.
Did they have one in 2012?
No. 2012 was the one that got canceled, and they've had it since then. 13, 14, 15.
2012. That was it. But yeah. They're definitely going to have BlizzCon this year, and they're going to show more of this. They made this announcement out at Gamescom, which was a gaming convention in Germany. So they really wanted to get out ahead of this thing and get people hyped. So yeah, I just want to put that out there that if you haven't seen any of the trailers, they had a trailer already. You're going to be able to see Illidan. Yes, Illidan is back, and it's all very, very exciting.
Okay, and again, this is all the new WoW expansion. When does it officially come out?
Mid-November. They might have already had a release date, but definitely mid-November.
And what's the story with the movie? When are they coming out with that?
Oh, the movie sometime next year. They're still filming, and well, filming is one thing, but in a movie for something like Warcraft, where half of your actors are going to be orcs, so filming is one thing, but post-production is going to be like an entire filming on its own. So post-production is going to take a long time, but hopefully by the end of next year we'll have the Warcraft movie out and ready to see.
Will it include this new expansion pack? I mean,
no,
it's not.
No, the movie has always been intended to be the story of Warcraft 1 Orcs and Humans, and it starts right at the beginning with all the heroes you know and love, with Lothar and all that and all of them, bringing the orcs to Azeroth. They invade Azeroth as members of the Burning Legion. So
Okay.
That's what it is.
There it is. All right. Well, we have about 4 minutes left.
So yeah, Josh, are you writing any articles or anything you've been working on behind for your other writing career?
So up and coming, we are looking at. I'm currently working on a game that I'm not allowed to talk about. Under
nice.
embargo.
Let's talk about that.
I was gonna say let's go ahead and talk about that on the nationally syndicated radio show. So I'm working on that. I'm pretty excited about it. It's part of a franchise that I've known and loved for a while. So that'll be kind of interesting. I'm also working on just a couple side reviews and trying to get some overall organization going. But nothing super hot coming down the pipes right now. We do have a couple of large-scale releases that just came out, but I am not reviewing either of them. Mad Max also came out today. I wasn't super stoked about it when I played it at E3. If I get the opportunity to play it at somebody else's house, I might give it a shot. But I think my time would be better invested playing Far Cry 4, which it feels a lot like.
Is Mad Max going to suffer the fate of so many games that are based on a movie?
You know, they did do what I talked to some folks from Disney Interactive a few years back, and the rule that they had, the ground rule they set, I can't help but totally recommend, which is if you're going to do a game that has that's tied to a movie, do not cover the story of the movie in the game. Mad Max at least seems to adhere to that. The bit that I played didn't, make any Furiosa references, didn't seem to very much have the atmosphere of the world, but didn't have the story. But of course, the catch to it is that the part that was intriguing about Mad Max was the story and was the characters. So it felt a little empty.
Well, Josh, listen, I want to thank you for being with us here on our special first daytime show of Computer America and our first Gamer Tuesday of the show in the daytime. And I know you're going to be back on our next Gamer Tuesday a week from today to talk about all things that we won't get a chance to talk about. Thank you so much for being with us here today, and stay with us to the end. Coming up tomorrow,
60 seconds.
Mike Cermak's going to be on with us tomorrow. TechGuy.org. He's going to be joining us tomorrow afternoon and talking about all the things that it's sort of like open mic night. Any questions you have about computers and technology, we would love to hear from you. Mike does that. And then in the second hour, we're going to have computer and technology news, and that's brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. Again, thanks to Carissa Green for joining us for most of our first Gamer Tuesday show of the day. And Ben and I will see you here, same time, same station. So until tomorrow afternoon, this is Craig Crossman hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy. We'll see you tomorrow at 3 p.m. Take care. Bye-bye.
We can actually do stuff today.
Yeah.
It's weird. I see sunlight behind Craig.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Okay, everybody, again, thanks for watching our new daytime show, 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And again, we'll be here with our live streaming video as usual. Just you know where to find us on our homepage at computeramerica.com, our show lounge. Again, thanks, Josh, for being with us here today, and we'll see you next week at on our next Gamer Tuesday show.
Look forward to it.
All right, take care, everybody. Goodbye.
Good night, everyone. Or good day, everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Good day, everybody. I sound like I'm from Australia now.
Good day, mate.
Good day, mate. Bye-bye.